of this beautiful 2 days, we have Professor Dr. A.M. SAKKTHIVEL sir, who is one of the renowned professors in the field of marketing. I take this privilege to welcome Professor Dr. SAKKTHIVEL A.M. to this wonderful conference from Sanskrithi School of Business. Professor Dr. A.M. SAKKTHIVEL sir is a professor in marketing with the School of Business in Skyline University, United Arab Emirates. Professor is having a vast and a wide experience in the field of marketing and various fields of management. To term a few, is Professor Dr. A.M. SAKKTHIVEL sir is a professor in marketing and an assistant dean of academics and research affairs, Sur University, Sultanate of Oman, formerly associate professor of marketing and head of the Department of Business Administration, Faculty of Economics and Administrative Science at European University of Lake, Government of TRNC Turkey, professor and head of the Department of Management Studies at St. Peter's Institute of Higher Education and Research, Chennai, prior to which professor was with one of the top 10 business schools of India for the field of marketing with Loyola Institute of Business Administration, Chennai. To say about professor, it would be very small if I put it in few words, because the renowned experience of this professor can be termed with a simple word that professor is an Indian guru of marketing. He has obtained a coveted certificate with honors of entrepreneurship educators course from Stanford University, USA. National Entrepreneurship Network, India, recognized with a PhD supervisory guide to University of Madras, India. Professor has a wide variety of courses in marketing discipline being delivered to his students at various universities across the globe, which includes a few: marketing management, consumer behavior, sales and distribution, sales negotiation, strategies of emerging market, marketing research and research methodology, marketing in new era, cyber marketing, internet buying behavior, marketing innovation, new distribution models, strategic relationship marketing. It adds to introduce him, it's my privilege to say he's an executive member of Global Academic Council, DMAT, Global Body of Digital Marketing. He is an editor of Global Book in Springer. He is a coordinator for AGBRP, Academy of Global Business Research and Practice. He is an editorial board member of various books, book chapters, and reviewers to many international acknowledged journals. His association is with expert member panel of jury, Tata NEN, hottest startup NEN Global. He is a member of Entrepreneurial Task Force, CII, Tamil Nadu region, India. He is a PhD thesis evaluator to NIT, Bharatiyar University, Periyar University in India. He is a PhD examination evaluator to business administration as a coursework to Annamalai University, India. He is a panel member, Board of Examinations to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Institute of Textile Management, Coimbatore, India. He is a panel member to MBA programs, question paper setting and evaluation to Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore, India. Scholarly publications with a large number of research papers, publications, books, book chapters. International and national scholarly journals indexed with Web of Science, Scopus, ABDC. Practitioner-oriented articles, practitioner-oriented journals, scholarly e-journals is the wide range of experience that I can put it in front of you in few minutes. He is honored with CMO Asia's Best Professor in Marketing Management. That makes me privileged to say a marketing guru is with us at this moment. Award of year 2010 to be the Asia's Best Business School Teacher and Best Researcher in 2011-2012 to Sur University, Sultanate of Oman. He is honored with Best Performer of Quality Research Publication Award in 2013-2014 with Sur University, Sultanate of Oman. The words could be limited. There is wide range of experience, research, and wide knowledge. We have a marketing guru with us right now. It would be my privilege, Honorable Professor, to introduce you to the entire faculty fraternity, researchers who have joined us from different parts of the globe, from 3 continents across the globe, and to my wonderful students of SSB, and to all the faculty members of SSB. Welcome you, sir. Welcome to SSB. Right now, it would be our privilege. We will not waste the time. We will be eagerly waiting to hear from you. Welcome you, sir.
Good morning, one and all. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. It's audible to everybody.
Okay. So good morning, one and all. Good morning from United Arab Emirates. And I'm extremely delighted. I'm just really moved the way you people introduced me. So I'm just still a learner, still a long way to go. So we always remember, whenever we always feel that actually we know so much, but I always feel I don't know anything. So that's what actually makes me move all these days, all these years. And I always want to be a student. So I don't want to be a teacher. So I always want to be a student. So the students are the one who has the urge to learn, every day. So every day is the learning process. So this is the journey we are going through. So my fellow speaker, Honorable Professor Dr. Charan Singh, Honorable Chairman of Sanskrithi Group of Institutions, Mr. B. Vijay Reddy, and Honorable Dean and Principal of the Sanskrithi Business School, Dr. Balakoteswari, and my fellow academicians from all over the world, and my beloved students, and all other who supported this the wonderful conference of sustainable development, which I am very intrigued and impressed at the topic you guys have selected. So when Dr. Balakoteswari approached me last week about whether I can be a speaker in the inaugural address, then I just went through the brochure she shared. I'm really impressed and intrigued because the title itself very catchy in terms of marketing, because I'm a marketing person in search of a new development model. So what a very wonderful, very the eye-catching or attracting, very intriguing the title they come out of. Kudos to you, Madam Dr. Balakoteswari. And this actually really took me my days when I was doing my B school. So we were asked to read a lot of books other than the textbooks. So that is what I want all of you, all the students with the Sanskrithi Business School or any school. So just go beyond your textbooks, just explore. There are a lot of things out there, a lot of things you have to learn. And this is the place you can learn everything. So this the 2 years of the B school or whatever the days you have in your university days. So that is where you don't have much of responsibility, but you focus on developing yourself in terms of knowledge, skills, and competencies. So that is what in UAE we are focusing on. So we want to ensure the students get these 3 areas. They have to gain knowledge, they have to gain the skills, and they have to gain the competencies to survive and be successful in whatever the career they undertake. So in that way, I remember during my the B school days, we were exploring the books which is beyond the textbook. So I came across the book called In Search of Excellence. So many of you already come across and read it from Tom Peters. So Thomson J. Peters. So he wrote a book long back, almost 30 years back, about the companies. So how they achieve this excellence in the areas they selected. So when I see the title of this conference, so in search of a new development model, so that really intrigued me. So I actually, in fact, I started my search last week because the task is given to me to contribute to this conference. So I don't want just to be a speaker from a different country, but I also see that because I myself a researcher, always very intrigued by things, and I always want to explore and research a lot of things. So this, kindled my desire to study this the new sustainable development model, the 17 SDG goals from UNA. Then I did a lot of the desk research. In fact, I just nowadays we are all thankful to the internet and the information available. So I just went across and I did a lot of the work, and I found there are many things actually which is relevant and coherent to this SDG goals, because the SDG goals talk about the 17 SDG goals from UNA. But I was thinking, like, how come we develop a model which is very focused and combining all these 17 SDGs? So that is what I wanted to share with you today in terms of presentation as a part of my kind of a desk research. So in search of a new development model. So in fact, I found some pillars, some aspects which is reflecting the 17 SDG goals, which will lead to a new sustainable development model in terms of, I can call it as a society actually. So is it visible now, all of you? So my slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So the new, in search of new sustainable development model. So as I shared with you, so I did I just went around, over the information available over internet and other places. Then I developed actually a kind of a model which I wanted to share with you. So this is different from Professor Dr. Charan Singh actually, because I really, because I joined when he started his speech, almost 45 minutes. So he really walked us through the entire journey of, and he has a very, like a very able way of narrating and intervening a lot of things right from our history, mythology, and the nature, and how we have to be a part of a nature. So really good things are actually, because my applause to you. And my presentation today, it's going to be more of how we have the pillars, how we can have a pillars to achieve the sustainable development model. So though the conference is focusing on the business side of the sustainable development, I myself do a lot of research on sustainable development in terms of business. In terms of marketing also, I have a sustainable development model, a sustainable marketing model I developed, which I will share with you at the end of the session. But I thought since this conference is primarily focusing on the 17 SDG goals as a primary focus, so I thought it is better I just go and focus on the overall aspect of the sustainable development of society, because that is what at the end of the day, when you talk about the business will be successful when we have the society, when we have the people. So we need to have the people. That is where the consumers are coming. So the consumers, if consumers contribute, or the people contribute to the society in different ways, so that is how the societies will thrive. So you all remember the Peter Stenge's the book on Fifth Element about learning organization. He talked about. So Peter Senji, he talked about the strategic aspects of a company, and the point of view of people. So he talked about the employees. But if you look at the Michael Porter's focus of strategy, it's primarily focusing on the competition, so which is external. So Peter Senji focuses on the internal aspects of the company, which is the people, the employees. So if the employee of the organization, if they learn and grow, the organization will grow. The same way, the people of the society, if they learn and grow and contribute to the society, and the society will thrive. So we should not be actually taking, it should be exclusive, it should be inclusive. The people and society are a part of the growth process. So in that way, I thought the wheel which I developed, the sustainable development wheel, I call it as a society development wheel, which has 7 pillars. These 7 pillars will focus on developing the people of the society. So as you see here, like the wheel starts from the governance, which is very important for any society to actually focus and run. So without governance, so no society will thrive. So we will talk more about this. The next one, if you want to have a healthy society, the healthy people, we need to have a health and other system. It has to be very important. The third one, it is not only the health, we also have to have a mental health, physical health and mental health. So that is where the education comes. So we need to have a very robust education system which contribute to the people and develop the human resources. Then for running the society or a business, so there should be an activity should go on. So that is where the role of business comes. The commerce, economics. So those things actually, the age-old things which makes this world going, the trade. So we need to live in this world, livelihood, because as a human being, we evolved for millions of years, right from hunting, and our day starts with hunting, or looking for a food and satisfied at the end of the day by actually taking food. But we moved on all these years, so we moved on from that particular stage of only like we live for a food. And you also remember the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy theory, which talks about the 5 needs, starting from safety needs, where people look only for the basic needs of life. Then once it's attained, they move to the next level, security needs, because we need to actually get these basic needs every day. So it's not every day we have to actually hunt for it, and we should not live in the world of uncertainty, that tomorrow we don't know like whether we get food and whether we live. So that nobody wants us actually to do it. So that's how we move to the safety needs. But once actually we achieve the safety or security needs, that we get everything, but we did not stop there. So that is what actually the human beings. So human being, we evolved as a the kind of species as we move ourselves with the motivation, the urge to live, not only to live, also to move forward in our life and to grow. So that is where we become the social needs, we become a part of a society. So that is where the society started emerging, the people started living as a group or a community, and we actually divided among ourselves based on the trade we do, or the skills, or the different jobs we do. So that is how actually all the systems have been developed, right from the hunter, soldier, or the weaver. So those kind of a thing which started happen based on the skill sets we developed over a period of time. Then we actually we don't want to be only part of a society, then we also need respect from society. So that is where the people actually right as a normal, the common like the people to actually emerging as leaders. So we started becoming a leader, we started leading people. So that is where like the esteem needs come. So we look actually for the respect. Then finally the top of the pyramid of the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy is self-esteem, the self-actualization need, where we achieve the pinnacle of life, where there should be a kind of the peace and contentment, which is the spirituality, or whatever way we take it. Actually, we are at peace. So as a human being, we actually go through this process, right from like we have to actually look for the safety, and once we actually move across the different levels of the Abraham Maslow's theory. So we achieve that the kind of a content. So the contentment is not, as our Dr. Charan Singh rightly said, it's not about actually looking to like make money. You focus on that. You should be focused on achieving peace and contentment and trying to help the society. So that is what actually the self-actualization needs talks about. So in this case, you see how as a human being we evolved over a period of time. Then comes the economic aspects. So economy is something which we measure how successful the particular society is, the overall aspect. So when we talk about the governance, health, education, and business, so all these things, the success of all these pillars lead to the economic development. So that is the overall development which contributes to the society, and that leads to the prosperity. So the prosperity is something like it's not leverage. You go by, like Mercedes or live in a big palace. So it's not about that, because we will see in detail like how the different institutions have defined the prosperity index. So prosperity is something which is internal and external in nature. And finally, the prosperity should lead to happiness. So this is the final destination we all, need to reach. So when we talk about the sustainable, the society, the development society, so these 7 pillars starts from governance to reaching the happiness. So happiness is something which, like we all need to look for. So the happiness, we in marketing terms, we normally say the happy customers are productive customers, or in the companies we say happy employees are productive employees. So this is what actually the wheel I developed. So the last 1 week I did a lot of research, and I come out of all these aspects, and I try to make sense out of it. It's not an empirical model. I not tested it empirically, but it's a kind of a conceptual model I propose. And maybe in the future I may actually look to empirically test it. So how this model, whether it is a robust model, whether it works, so those kind of thing. But as far as when you look at the logical aspects, so sometimes we develop a conceptual model. We also use our logic and how like it leads to the successful, sustainable development as far as the society is concerned. Now moving on to the different pillars, when you look at because I took some of the aspects from the definition of the governance, the good governance. What are the components which like look into that? So I found there are the components which are defined by the UNO, United Nations Organizations, which has 8 principles or 8 pillars, right from participation, rule of law, transparency, and responsiveness, conscience-oriented, equity and inclusiveness, and effective and efficiency, and accountability. So if the governance, the people are part of that, so they need to actually execute that particular aspect. But when you look at the EU, actually, because EU is founded after the UNO, so EU actually taken the same base. If you see both EU and the UNO, and they developed, they added more the pillars into that. So like it's become 12 principles actually. So the UNO started with the 8 principles, but the EU added the 4 principles. So if you look at the ethical conduct, which is actually they added, and also the competency and capacity of a human being, the human resources, so which they they added, and they also added innovation and openness to change, and sustainability and long-term orientation. So these are all the things actually. If you see, there are a lot of similarities between this EU and the UNO, which define what is the governance. So as a student of the budding managers, so when you talk about the governance, the governance of the society, the governance of the country, so you should understand actually what are the aspects that lead to that. So that's why I just prepared this presentation. And I also actually come across some of the like the countries which achieved, and they have a good government like index. Like this is Chandler Good Government Index, which talked about 2021 statistics. If you see here, The Finland is the #1 company in terms of overall score, and Switzerland is the #2. Singapore is #3. Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, and 7th is Sweden, Germany, and New Zealand and Canada. So most of the case, if you see, you can see that the most of the countries actually they are normally having the lower, actually the low population in terms of the smaller size of population. So unlike India, but if you like to see that actually the where India lies, because we have many countries actually. So I just checked actually in this. I'll show you where we are falling. You look at India. So India, we are in the 49th position. Actually, we are just, we have grown up a lot in terms of the good government index over the period of time, and we are in 49. So when I was doing this research, because being an Indian, I always trying to find where we actually, like place, and I found very surprisingly we are all at the top of, the table, the most of the case. So that shows actually the kind of conscience and also the conscience of the people of India in the recent days, which are very much improving, and we become more aware of the sustainable, and we become more aware of things which are happening around us, especially after the internet revolution and the social media. So we found our voice. So the people of the world found their voice, and they can express themselves. And also, actually, now everything is available in your fingertip, thanks to all this internet information. So nobody will feel ignorant, or you can say that I don't know this, because now everything is available to you. The only thing is you need to take a step to, to learn and understand. So how you can emulate it. So this is about the statistics you guys actually can do it. So what I'm trying to say is now the information is available to all of you. Only thing is you have to explore and find out. So you don't have to go through for information. In our times, actually, when we did our university or B schools, like 20, 30 years back, so we did not have that the luxury. So whenever we want to look for some information, we have to go to different libraries. We have to look for backdated materials. They have these archives. But nowadays, thanks to all this technology, so you guys have you are all the millennials, the gifted millennials. What do you say? You're all gifted as well as blessed with all kind of technology you have access to. So I urge you to just explore all these aspects to understand. So you're all part of a B school. You're all learning. But there are many things you should learn beyond the classroom. That is where your self motivation is very important, to learn all kind of a thing, and you need to use your the logic, understanding, and also you should not lose your the human approach, which is very, very important. So that's what I say. People normally say when you study in a B school, you become a street smart, cutthroat, you should be focused on the profit center. But I urge you, like, you should be more socially responsible, focus on the societal development, because you see, almost like 13 years back, during 2008, when the financial crisis happened in the world, many leading organizations like Pepsi or Unilever, they all took a stand of, changing themselves, their focus of the profit center to the social center, business. So now every company is focusing, and that is where you guys, some of you, many of you learn marketing. The P's of marketing become the C's of marketing. It's become more of a consumer oriented, the social oriented, the solution oriented, because you're not selling a product or service, but you are offering solution to the society. So, and you are getting the profit is the salary for the solving the problems of society. So that is how the business are now actually it's changing. Even now we are talking about any business model development. The first thing they ask is what solution you're offering, and what is the societal value you are creating. Even the new age jobs, which everybody is looking at, how you can contribute to the human, the society, the human beings, or the development of the humans. So that is what actually now the society is looking at. the new age jobs which we are looking at, it's it's slowly moving from the mundane, like the professions, and it's getting into the very new exciting the professions which are focusing on helping the society and the human development. So that's what you need to understand. So the business is something, actually it is not only focusing on the profit, it is also focusing on helping the society, and you actually see that the salary which you are getting as a profit through whatever the help you do to the society. So this is the very, very important, the base of any sustainable development meal, the governance. So the governance at the different level, right from like take India, we have the different governance level, from the central level, the state level, even the rural area, the village level, even within the city we have a ward level. So the governance has to be actually, so that is where whatever the government, any initiatives or any developmental activities which government offers, it should reach the last man standing. Everybody should get that. So you see these countries, actually what we see, the top 10 countries are the top countries where they ensure their governance, the whatever the principles they follow, that should help the citizens or the people, those who are in the particular country, get those benefits. Number two is the health, which is very, very important. So nowadays we say the health is wealth. So because the last 2 years we are going through a pandemic, still we are not out of woods. Now we are almost out of it. So we know that how healthy actually lifestyle or health is very important. So here when I talk about the health, there are many aspects. Health index, they talk about the health care infrastructure and healthcare professionals in terms of ratio of population, and the cost of healthcare, how much the government is spending for the healthcare cost and quality medicine availability, the readiness of government to actually face any of these unforeseen events like the pandemic which we are going through and tackle it, and the different environmental aspects which we actually control, because sometimes the health is something, it's not outside, because the nature is something which we actually adopt with, and how we maintain that particular nature. So then access to clean water and sanitation, which is also very, very important for any healthy environment. And finally, the government readiness on imposing penalties like tobacco and other things. Like you see now, the many governments in all over the world, actually they are going for, including UAE government, they increase the the price of tobacco products, including the soft drinks actually. So here the soft drink prices being doubled because they actually focus on controlling this kind of a thing, and they want to create a healthy environment. So even I see in India and many other countries, because of the changing behavior of consumer, which is also very important nowadays. Most of the companies, the food product companies, they totally change the way of doing business. They're all become very healthy conscious. So ultimately the healthy, the people lead to the healthy society. So in this case, if you look at, actually there is a statistics which I trying to share 2021, which are shown that which are the best healthcare systems in the world. So these are all the countries, and India is in the 19th position. I'm very happy, and UAE is in the 20th position in terms of the healthcare index, best healthcare systems. So this shows actually how the government is focusing on developing a healthy society. So which is very, very important. So it's not only that we are talking about the disease or tackling disease, it is also the awareness among the people of how to take care of themselves, actually the healthy aspects. So it's not about the government gives you all kind of a support, so you should actually become you can do anything. And so we as an individual, as a responsible citizen, so we also actually need to lead a very healthy lifestyle. And I see nowadays actually people are becoming more healthy conscious, and they go for a lot of walking, and they control the kind of the intake of food. So those things are which are happening. So I see some countries, they also bring a kind of a national agenda of educating the the people living in that country about how to lead a healthy lifestyle. So I urge actually all the governments of the world also take up that particular initiative of national level health, the agenda. Like even India also, our Prime Minister Modi initiated that yoga, like how we can use yoga to lead a very healthy lifestyle. So those kind of a thing, like which people need to adopt. So it's not, when you talk about healthy, like society, it's not only the support from the government, it also as an individual, the responsible citizens. So we also need to actually take up that particular responsibility. So when you talk about a country, so what is the country? The country is of the people. So if the people of the country are responsible and follow their work and do their duty, so automatically the country goes on the right direction. So we should normally think the government is at fault, the government is not doing, but as an individual, so what we are doing, we should ask ourselves. So are we actually following the rules? Are we doing the right thing? So then that is what, actually I remember the words of John F. Kennedy when he was giving his first address, if I'm correct, when somebody asked him like what actually the government did for the country. So he asked what you did for the country, what you did for the government. So he mentioned that actually it is the responsibility of individual citizens of how you have to act and contribute to the society. Then we can actually talk about the government. So this is where like the health infrastructure, the healthcare system is very, very important, and the awareness among the people also very, very important to lead a sustainable life and sustainable society. The number 3 pillar which I'm talking about, that education. So we talked about the physical health. Now we talk about the mental health. How you can create a very actually learned and responsible the society. That is where your education system comes. So which is very important pillar of the development of any sustainable society. Which actually I checked, like when I was doing my studies, so I found out these are all the 3 components which comes out as defining the best education system. So right from the beginning, it's a well developed public education system, which is very important. Right from the school or your primary school to the university system. Then also the willingness of people to attend university in the same country, because I see when I was working in Europe and other countries, over here in UAE also. So we get a lot of students from other countries. Actually, the first question I asked them, so why you want to come and do your higher studies here? He told actually we are not believing or we don't trust the university system in our country. So that is actually the kind of the very big statement from them. So if you want to say that the very robust the education system, the people in that particular country, they should trust their university system, and they should stay and study in their university, and it provides a top quality education. So this is some statistics which I come across out of what are the countries in 2022 having a very robust best education system, so which comes the US, UK, those kind of countries as per the the components which I shared with you. And when we look at the overall rank, so where are we actually in the India and other countries? India is in 32 positions. So as I told you, actually India is growing in terms of all kind of the pillars which we are talking about in many aspects. So which is a very good sign. And UAE also, it's in the 27th, which I am working now. So it shows the great awareness among the government and the people in adopting this SDG. And number 4 is the best business environment, which is very important for the fueling the economy or providing employment opportunities, workforce. See, at the end of the day, when people have a good education, so they need to have a job. So they need to actually start some business. So either way, because all of us, we take like two-way career. Either you go for a job, either you go for a career of becoming an entrepreneur. So how about that the system in that particular country or the place? So to support that kind of like development aspects of business, if somebody wants to do it. So this is what actually I took something about the startup. So what are the best business, the environment, especially in the startup. So what are the components which they look for? I found the number one is the human capital development. So how the country is focusing on developing their human capital and how much money they spend for R&D, the research and development, and creating the ecosystem for becoming an entrepreneur infrastructure. So nowadays, it's become a national agenda in all the countries, especially if you see in this part of the world, GCC. I was in Oman and now I'm in UAE. Now the entrepreneurship and innovation, it is a part of all the, the programs, irrespective of what program you take, either you take business or IT or engineering or any business, even medical, everywhere the students study 2 or 3 courses of entrepreneurship and innovation. So they want to bring that, that entrepreneurial mindset in the minds of the students are budding, the citizens. And not only that, actually, they are also providing that the opportunity for people to, explore their own venture. Then technical workforce, availability of a technical workforce, how we can on that. Then finally the policy dynamics. So how actually the fluid or flexible the policy when actually according to the changing scenario, which is also very important. So you should not have a very static policy and change only 10 years, 20 years. So you should have a policy which is fluid like water, and you should change the policy as per, and the policy should focus on, developing the best environment, especially for the business environment. So here also I want to share some statistics which I got from the same CEO World magazine. So here I think we are all very happy and proud that India is in the 5th position. So you see this, the article starts, it is the United States, like you are the 5th, but you see we actually grow. It's almost like we are just only behind the 4 countries, but India is in terms of the startups. So we are, going way high. And when you look at UAE is in the 31st position. So this is where, now the most of the governments are supporting people to become the entrepreneur. You need to actually create some value and offer to the society and contribute to the economy. So you should not focus only on getting a job. And so this is what we actually in our university, we tell them whether you want to be a job seeker or job creators. I also wrote an article here in the Middle East Higher Education Digest, which talk about in top of developing the job creators. So how the ecosystem in our university, we support the people to become the entrepreneur at the undergrad level and the master's level. And India, they're doing in a big way. I know many universities, they have this technology business incubator and the startups. Even when I was working in IFIM, we have a startup foundry, so where we encourage students to come out of their own startups. So I believe Sanskrithi Business School also, you have some initiatives like that. So this is where as a student or anybody who is actually taking up that, you gain the overall the personality or the courage or the risk-taking ability when you are at the university level. So this is also the way actually you have to explore the aspects which you want to go for it. The next one is we are talking about the economy, but when you're talking about the economic aspects, the one of the pillar, but it's not an economy which we are talking about calculating GDP and other things. But here we are talking about the best inclusive economy. Understand? So that means when your economy is growing, everybody in your economy should grow. As our Professor Dr. Charan Singh rightly mentioned, it should not have inequality. So some people are living the royal lives, and some people are, like every day they are fighting for their life, their food. So that should not be a kind of an economic growth. So the economic growth should be inclusive in nature. So everybody who is a part of that particular society, they should get the fair, the square, the treatment and the benefit, and everybody should grow together. So this is what the World Economic Forum, which talked about the growth and development, inclusion, and intergenerational equity is also very important. So the different generations. So if you look at the statistics of which are all the countries actually, excelled in that particular world's most inclusive economies, if you're talking about, So the Norway comes the number one and advanced economies, because they also have some kind of the differentiating factor for advanced economies and the Norway, the emerging economies. So the Norway, Iceland, Luxembourg. So most of the countries are from Europe. And here also, if you can see the emerging economies. So if you look at here, the most of the countries are all the low populated countries where they're trying to actually achieve the emerging economics, the status, as well as the inclusive development aspects. So this is what actually you see when you are talking about the economic the development. It should be inclusive development. It should not be exclusive, where the rich are become richer and the poor are become poorer. So it should be the inclusive growth. So that is a very important the pillar for the sustainable society. See, otherwise, if there is an inequality comes, actually it leads to a lot of the social unrest and the negative aspects of society and a lot of the crime rates which happen. Why? Because of the people feel deprived and they feel that they are not getting benefits. So that is how the antisocial elements which are emerging in any part of the world. If you look at actually, it's the cause of the economy is not actually taking care of the growth of the people. So some people are actually become the more affluent, and some people are become more poorer. And the poorer people actually they have no other go, and they just take up a stand of an antisocial element. So this is the aspect which it needs to be addressed. So you need to focus on providing the inclusive development, inclusive growth of all. So that should lead to a very healthy sustainable society. The next one is when you're talking about the prosperity index. When you say that if it is an inclusive economy, it's a growing economy, that should lead to a prosperity. So we all actually, whenever any occasions, any like Diwali or any Christmas, New Year, we always actually send message to many people, wish you a very happy, prosperous New Year, prosperity. But the prosperity means what actually we understand is prosperity means living rich, royal life, great food. So it is not about that actually. When I just went through it, I was very surprised that the prosperity index, which talks about a lot of other aspects, the components of what is prosperity, which is starting from safety and security, even the personal freedom of individuals, which is also very, it's a part of a prosperity. It's very surprising part. The governance, the social capital. So how the government is focusing on developing the capital, not only human capital, but it's also social capital for the welfare of people, and the environment, the investment environment. If somebody wants to start business, and what kind of support they get, and the enterprise conditions, the business friendly environment, and infrastructure and market access, economic quality, which is also very, very important. So if you look at the indexes, there is an index which you all, I will share the slides with you. You can go here, and this is the index Likert on prosperity index, which talk about all these components, and it also gives definition of what is that. So these statistics, if you look at what we see here, is there are many countries here in this particular index. So you can see when you look at infrastructure and market access, the pillar which talks about what is it. And if you look at economic quality, how economy is equipped to generate wealth sustainably and help the society. So these are all the things. Actually, there is a list here. You can look at actually the overall parameter, the prosperity index, where each country is, the figuring out. So based on the overall index, and you can also actually find this information for individual the parameters. So this is what the prosperity. See, when you look at the pillar, like it's all interconnected. So economy, if you say it's an inclusive economy, that should lead to the prosperous living of the people. The last pillar, when you talk about, is the happiness. So again, when you talk about happiness, there are a lot of definition of happiness, whether it is internal or external. Even I myself attended the workshop of happiness. When that person who offered happiness, he asked me when you will be happy. So they asked all of us to take a piece of paper and write So we wrote many things like if I buy a mobile phone, if I buy a car, if I buy a house, if I get good grades. So he asked actually because whether this happiness are like the short lived or longer, because all this the happiness what actually we are looking at is a material happiness which are short living in nature. So that gives a lot of like thoughts to us to what is happiness. So happiness is something which we have to feel. It's overall. There are a lot of debate is going, and even I myself doing a lot of study on happiness. We run our own happiness lab, and how actually what are the aspects which create happiness to the people. The what So these are all the things which we are doing. So when I just want to actually share with you the happiness, so what are the components leading to happiness in terms of the World Population Review rankings, happiness index, we are all talking about. So the GDP of the country, the per capita income, social support from the government, the healthy life expectancy. That's what they say. Life expectancy is not actually you lead a life by like lying in the bed, 90 years you live. No, the healthy life, even you live like 60, 70 years, you need a healthy life without support of anyone, and you enjoy every moment of your life. And freedom to make one's own life choices. So this is also one of the very important things I saw. I'm really surprised about the happiness. It's also lead to a happiness. So it's not that I am forced to lead my life actually like against my will. So it should give you a space and like the opportunity for anyone who wants to how you want to shape up your life and career. So this is also leading to happiness. And they say generosity of the general population, which is also one of the happiness index, and the perception of internal external corruption level. So this is what the happiness index meter, which I found out the happiest countries in the world. So you can go and find out it's available already. So which country, if you see the number one country is the Finland. If you see in the pillars which we saw in terms of sustainable society or sustainable development, so most of the case the Finland or Denmark or Switzerland, Iceland. So those countries are it's popping up more so are the case. So it's actually like it's a kind of uh, the direction for me to look more into the other aspects of this country. So what we are seeing is numbers and statistics, but you also need to actually look at internally like how these the countries are really actually coming out of that. Is it only the statistics, or what is really happening inside is actually the leading to that particular outcome. So I urge all of you, all the students, just look at those aspects and trying to actually understand what is really happening. Even see, these are all only the indicators. So what I am showing is an only indicator. You can also see that among yourself, the place where you live. In your place, you may be coming from a small village, because I see most of the people from the rural area, they're very happy because they are not polluted by any of this technology or anything. They lead a very simple life, very healthy life. I really envy them. So last 15 years I'm living in different countries, but I'm longing to come back to India and lead a very peaceful and rural life, detaching from all like the technology or anything, because this kind of a thing definitely it increases our anxiety level. I see the professor Dr. Charan Singh, when he spoke, the kind of a peace he exuded when he talked to us. So I really, like applaud to him, sir. I'm really envy you. The kind of, like situation. Definitely, you will be living in your the native place, and I see that kind of a contentment. So this is what actually we all need to look at it. So it's not about you just go to places and make money and do things, but you also need to look at within yourself, within our environment, how to be happy. So the happiness is something which is internal in nature. How we define the happiness, it's individual in nature. So the happiness is, we cannot there is no standardization aspect of defining happiness. So each one will have their own way of attaining happiness. So these are all the like the experience you need to look at it. I believe the Sanskrithi School of Business normally help encourage students to explore this kind of the human side of projects. See what happens. Most of the B schools, like they go for only industry, like those kind of a very hardcore projects. But I see that nowadays most of the big schools, even IFI, which I worked, we normally send our students for a social immersion project, SIB we call, like 15 days they go and live in rural areas and involve with the people and undertake a project. And they also trying to help the local population. So this is the way we sensitize our, the budding, the citizens to know what is really happening in the ground level. So it's not something which is on the, like ulterior or exterior level. So they should have the, the internal understanding, and they should have their hands dirty. So this is where I believe as a successful business, you have to have may have ecosystem to sensitize students in those areas to become more human and become more social, concise and understanding. See, in that way, actually, when they become the the industry leaders, entrepreneurs, so there, whatever they do, actually, there should be a social concise actually in doing whatever you offer. So you should have the kind of a responsibility which you develop from your experience. So those are all things actually, that lead to a very developed or very robust, sustainable society, which encompasses all the pillars what we are talking about. So these are all the seven pillars of the wheel of the social, development wheel, which you see that ultimately all these the pillars are leading to one very important thing, which is the people. So this is what finally we come to, which is the people, the human development index. So this is actually we are all looking at nowadays all over the world. These are all the components which look at the human development index, life expectancy, the literacy rate of the particular country. You see, even they include rural population access to electricity. So that means the people have a choice to live wherever they want. And it's not that you deprive them actually if they want to live in their own native place. So here they included this parameter also, and GDP per capita, which is economic aspects, export imports, which is the measurements for the economy, the crime rate, which is also very, very important, because the society which is free of crime or all these antisocial things. So these are all the very important aspects. And the multidimensional poverty index, which is the another aspect which help people, to elevate from their, the basic needs and give them the whatever they need for their life to live the livelihood and a decent and respectable life. So each individual, we want to live our life. So we are not only looking for a food, but we want to live our life in our own way. And we are looking for, the means to do it. And the income inequality is also the another thing, which is the way it helps and accessible to affordable interest. So this also they included, which, help people to develop, the contributing the human being or the human resources. So again, the statistics which talks about which are all the countries, they have a human development index, which is very, very important. So ultimately, when you say, if you want to develop a sustainable society, so you need to have the people which are actually contributing to the society. So the human development index is very, very important. So ultimately, the society is of people of the society. So it's not the exclusive, it should be a inclusive aspect. So with this, I finish my presentation of all these the pillars. So you need to look at all those aspects if you want to actually develop the overall sustainable development in the society. So this is my search for developing a new sustainable society development model, identifying 7 pillars and how all these pillars are leading to developing a responsible, social conscious and contributing citizens of the society. So ultimately. So once again, thank you very much for the opportunity to the organizers and Sanskrithi School of Business. Thank you very much. Any questions? I'm ready to answer.
I request, first of all, I thank Professor. Followed by, I request all the faculty fraternities, if you have any questions, please write it down in the chat box. I also request other participants, if you have any questions to be asked, be very precise and be very clear. Please write it on the chat box, please. One small note to all the faculty fraternities who are waiting for the technical sessions. It will begin shortly. I request faculty fraternities, if you have any questions, you can just write it down in the chat box. I hope there are no questions. Professor, it is indeed a great honor for us to hear your valuable words, especially something which very inspires was the 7 pillars that you specified and the robust society that you were keen on. And you spoke about in a multidimensional way, you spoke about how it influences. You brought about examples in Europe. You brought about the wide range of your experience in a very clean and a precise way. To all the budding entrepreneurs present here, this is indeed a great pleasure and a most memorable day if you pen it down in your diaries. If you remember at one walk of life, when you open your diary, you will hear about a beautiful international virtual conference where we heard Dr. Charan Singh sir as well as Professor Dr. A.M. SAKKTHIVEL sir. I thank on behalf of Sanskrithi School of Business formally, and I thank all the faculty fraternities who are present here. I request Dr. Balakoteshwari ma'am to formally thank sir, and then we can go forward. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. SAKKTHIVEL sir. You have taken out time. You have been early. You are 1.5 hours before us. Still, you have taken out your time and so much of preparation you have done to address the participants on the topic. And I appreciate your insights into the topic. And this has been very good learning experience for myself personally, as well as for the faculty and the research scholars and the participant available here. So on behalf of Sanskrithi School of Business, I really thank you from bottom of my heart. And thank you so much, sir, for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we shall go forward. We have our Honorable HOD, sir, Dr. Venkateshan, sir, to present the vote of thanks. Over.
Good afternoon to all. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making today's occasion a resounding success. First and foremost, I thank our special guest, Dr. Charan Singh sir, Chief Guest, Agro Foundation, and Professor Dr. A.M. SAKKTHIVEL sir, Skyline University College, University of Sharjah, UAE, who despite their busy schedule has found time to grace this occasion. And I also express my heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Chairman and Chairperson, Sanskrithi School of Business and Sanskrithi School of Engineering, Sanskrithi Group of Institution, Mr. Vijay Reddy sir, for his valuable contribution. His able guidance has always encouraged us I thank him for his kindness, his interest and continued support. We are grateful to our Dean Academics and Principal SSB Dr. Balakoteshwari Madam for his word of opening remarks and unstinted support for this international virtual conference. I thank E. Prasanthi Madam, Associate Professor, SSB, for her the stewardship, support, vision, and commitment. I thank all the session chairpersons and moderator for technical session for this 2 days virtual international conference. My heartfelt thanks to all the heads, various department and faculty members and research scholars for their valuable contribution and guidance and encouragement in all our efforts. I thank all the participants present here, accepting our invitation. Last but not the least, I thank technical support Vijay Sri Madam and Sai Kumar sir and our students of SSB for their cooperation in making this international conference a resounding success. Finally, I leave this inspiration quotation by Sri Sati Sai Baba. The end of wisdom is freedom. The end of culture is perfection. The end of knowledge is love. The end of education is character. Once again, I thank you all for your attention. Thank you. Love all.